Good morning. Welcome to another Rustbelt Ramble. I'm Connor here in Pittsburgh, and you're looking at a sort of uninviting view, but just beyond this fence with the barbed wire and the next fence, and the fences over there, is the riverfront for the Ohio River, and then those big oil and gas terminals that you see up on the hillside over there are actually on the other side of the river, over in the town of McKees Rocks. As we pan this way, you can see this is an AlkaSan security little bunker, not currently used right now. And we are right next to the AlkaSan Plant. This is where Pittsburgh treats most of its sewage wastewater, the stuff that doesn't get kind of jettisoned right into the rivers during big rain events, or small rain events, or no rain events. That stuff gets processed here, hence the sort of industrial noises that you're hearing. We are over in the north side of Pittsburgh, on the North Shore, in the old Allegheny City. You can see back there the train line back there. That's the Fort Wayne line, which is Norfolk Southern's main line that goes from Pittsburgh out to Indiana. It also goes to Chicago, or it took Chicago traffic. It doesn't, Norfolk Southern doesn't really do too much Pittsburgh to Chicago traffic anymore, but at the time it would have gone out that same rail line. The Ohio is going downriver to the left of the camera, which is also west. So that train is going from east of Pittsburgh, somewhere on the coast, through Pittsburgh and to the west. Over here, this is actually Sherman Williams paints. This is actually like an industrial applications plant. It's pretty huge. We'll kind of pass by some of it. And then we're going to be walking back over by that big building that you can see in Chateau right there. The riverfront trail picks back up, so we're going to kind of go around all of this stuff and get back over to the riverfront. And downtown Pittsburgh is kind of out of sight beyond the buildings that you see right in front of you. Let's go. Now we're at the other end of the block, looking back towards the AlkaSan plant. This is where all of Pittsburgh's sewer water gets treated and then discharged into the Ohio, kind of on the far side of the site. The bridge you're seeing in the background there is the McKees Rocks Bridge. These are a couple of nice pin oaks, also known as Spanish swamp oaks, growing right here along the edge of the site. And then this very unfriendly end of the line here for the trail use. Oh wow. You can really appreciate the shale and slate nature of Pittsburgh here. These cliffs above the rail line. This side of the block is a Sherman Williams plant here at Tracy and Preble. Sherman Williams makes paint, and then at large scale, what you might think of as paint, they would call industrial coatings. This is paint, but at the scale of applying it to entire sides of entire buildings or highways or pieces of infrastructure. So in addition to the kind of sewer smells and strong chlorine gas smells that come out of the AlkaSan plant right here, there's also kind of a spray paint and paint thinner smell coming out of the Sherman Williams. This has always been a very industrial part of Pittsburgh, this whole flat northern side of the city. Technically it was its own city, and it was where the central time zone started. So the clock in Allegheny Center, which is what the north side was then, read an hour faster than the time that you would tell in Pittsburgh, because according to the trains, that's where central time really started, was as soon as you crossed the Ohio in a significant way, which you do coming through Pittsburgh. Oh wow, that's that same train line. We're kind of out of view of it, but those are double stacks of shipping containers. Norfolk Southern kind of famously uses this line for double stacked shipping containers. It's a huge transit route. Each train that goes by that has containers stacked this way has about $4 million worth of goods on it, give or take. That's just kind of randomized across about how much commercial value you can stuff into a 40-foot container and how many 40-foot containers go on a train like this, which is a couple hundred. Most of these containers are international containers. They're 40-foot ones. Yang Ming's a Chinese company. China Shipping's Chinese. Hapag Lloyd is, I think, the big German one. One, Ocean Network Express, is, there we go, that big pink container. It's Japan's unified container company. 3 or 4 of their container companies all merged into one big shipping company. That's actually, I think, headquartered out of Singapore rather than being headquartered out of anywhere in Japan. But it is indeed all of these old Japanese shipping concerns from the 50s and 60s, and I guess from the 20s and 30s before that, which have finally kind of merged down into one Ocean Network Express. The pink they chose, pink and white, is the livery of those containers, and it's meant to evoke the sort of cherry trees that are typical of Japanese spaces worldwide. In the past, the cherry blossom... Oh, hey, that's that Hoyer right there. That was a tank-tainer. That's a compressed gas tank that is sort of built into a shipping container. Another one right there. So that's a cherry blossom of the Japanese Empire kind of rolling through. Hey! And right past it, that was a Mole, M-O-L, which was one of the preceding companies. I like Mole a lot because it has the amphibious sea and land alligator kind of holding its containers up. It's my favorite logo. Now we're getting down to the dregs. This is kind of 20-footers side by side in a 40-foot well. Ooh, a little short one container. We're just down the block again, and this is the bottom end of the Sherman Williams plant. You can see the big chimney of the AlkaSan plant. Well, turns out that that one particular building was AlkaSan, and the security guard lady just came and told me not to film it. Seems a little weird because it's just right here. In any case, the other thing that's on this block that's of note is Western Penitentiary. State Correctional Institute. This place was also known as the Wall, and it was in operation, which was for 150 years or so. And it shut down just this year. I think the closure order was in 2017, but shut it down just in 2020. Big old walls like this, even prison walls, do provide a real sense of atmosphere. As soon as you get near them, you can feel the cold of the mass of the wall, the shadow of it. Also, just its enormous size, and you know, the mortar compared to the size of the blocks is tiny. This is a huge edifice. You will not be able to tear it down with your hands or get through it or scale it without a lot of difficulty. As we get to the end of the block here, things begin to open up. The riverfront's just ahead. Start the river trail. Edge of the penitentiary. Right here at the top of the bike trail is probably the best view we're gonna get of the Stow Rocks Bridge here. I keep saying Stow Rocks and McKees Rocks like they're the same thing. Stow Township and McKees Township, McKees Rocks Township, both are neighbors of Pittsburgh. They operate a single school district, and they share a whole lot of municipal services, and people tend to call them Stow Rocks as kind of a nod to both towns, STO-ROX, to shorten both of them. Here's West Penn from the northwest corner. The highway that you see up on top of the hill is Route 65. This is the real reason to walk through this industrial neighborhood, is to get down to the riverfront here. It's just gorgeous, as these geese are well aware. We're looking at Lockhart Steel over on the other side of the river there. And then I think that this is a asphalt terminal, essentially, for receiving asphalt by boat, transferring it to trucks. And then there's kind of a liquids and gases terminal further up the river. I think that's what opened the video. These are all over in McKees Rocks. And then as we pan back, this closer island, that's the bottom of Brunout Island. Brunois, Brunoy, Brunet. I don't think it ever gets pronounced correctly. Cat condos, keeping them feral cats alive over winter. Hey, so who did you say you were with?
AlkaSan. I mean, I'm not sure why you're taking proper pictures of our stuff.
Oh, I mean, I'm just filming a video of what the neighborhood's like, how it is to walk around, and I don't understand, man, because, you know, we're like thousands of feet from AlkaSan property. I don't know why you drove down the street to kind of bring me. Right, but I don't understand why you're following me, man.
I'm not following you. I got caught.
You have... Have a good day, John. Well, that felt a little disruptive. AlkaSan security folks followed me down the block, told me not to film, which was, you know, okay the first time, but, yeah, then a couple thousand feet later at the other end of the block, another person rolled up to also come talk to me, which was weird. They're not the cops. They have no reason to just follow civilians around. So that was upsetting. It's good to be back on the riverfront, though. So we're still on the riverfront. I just talked to that guy about drone footage. You might go fly it, which is fun. This is the old Wardens House of the prison. And this is the cell blocks 1 through 4, which were known as the Wall. As you can see here, it's one intimidating wall of cells with the Ohio beyond. They try not to put out very much information about the big chemical facilities over here on Bruno Island, but you know, it's clear that there is some really big heavy processes happening. Also interesting to see, there's a little tug that's docked by the beach over there. We've actually moved out of sight of the prison now. This very prison-looking structure is actually a big power substation and office for Duquesne Light. Sort of more visible from this. I don't know, is this like a training facility, maybe? Seems like an artificial number of towers in varying competing styles, all kind of put up next to each other. That might be a training facility. That'd be kind of cool. A little bit further towards town, this big blue building here is Crossing Cable. Looks like they do all kinds of electrical and other cable supply. These are big spools. From here you can see that their yard and the number of giant spools of cables is actually pretty extensive. We're just at the kind of back end on the riverfront side. Speaking of which, trail's looking beautiful. Sun. Here on the southern end of that same cabling company, you can see that the arc of this street used to imply something different. These loading docks are for a curved rail unload. Right here, a spur coming out from this riverside line. And you can actually see a little divot up there where maybe there was a little bit more of a garage door, similar to the loading docks over on that building. So we finally come down into the Manchester Bidwell area of the trail. This is still incredibly industrial, but it's much smaller industrial concerns, not these mega block structures that were further up the trail, which I guess is downstream. This is also the part of the trail that I think saw a little bit more construction and care during Tom Murphy's time as mayor, when it got built out. And you know, since then these trees are doing okay. Some of them didn't quite make it. This is the back lot of Trans Edge, which is a truck leasing company. I think this is like their big maintenance building. And they bring trucks in to be repaired, as perhaps is happening to this Max Finkelstein truck. Now the trail actually interacts with the city street grid, which is pretty sweet. This right here is Beacon Roofing. Beacon Pro Plus is, I think, the professional company name. Beacon Roofing is the civilian one. But yeah, acquire your insulating foams and other building materials here. I think this is one of their box trucks. I wonder what that big building is. I'll try to maybe put it up in that blue part of the sky up there. Just leave this up for another 3 or 4 seconds. There are 2 marinas that are next to this trail. This is the Island Boat Club, the slightly more down rent of the 2 marinas. The Trail Height Coachman up on blocks. You can see daylight down through there. Now we've come another block upriver. This is the Branchport Boat Club, the other boat club here. They have a little marina. It is winter, so there's kind of nobody here. Most of the boats are up, out to dry. This is quite a spectacular pond. You know, I really feel like the uprivermost piers are always kind of the sacrifice piers. You know, they're the ones that get damaged when random detritus kind of like comes down the river and smashes into them. So, you know, maybe don't sell those mooring points. Maybe just let them ride. Act as kind of a buffer zone for all the other ones. So this is still a big welding shop and metalworking place. This was the Rosedale Foundry and Machine Co. It's on like the old 1923 maps. It's much newer construction further up the block, but there are still some of these old, beautiful brick industrial buildings that are still around, kind of worked into the more modern build-outs. We're still on the riverfront trail. We're now back at kind of the main civilian parking lot. Right here's the Roundabout Brewery, a local beer company. It's the far end of the industrial park. Still further down, we're about 1.5 miles from downtown still. This is Boat Dry Dock. Marine Works Dry Storage. Also apparently where some food trucks overwinter. Big clear spot like this makes it really apparent just how hazy it is today down here by the river. We're at kind of a narrow point, you know, that other side over there is not more than 1,000 feet away, but wow, it is hard to see through the river fog right here. Thought it would burn off, but it just is persisting. I mean, I'll take the quality of light and the depth of field. It's incredible, but it's an unusual atmospheric effect for sure. This is the West End Bridge. This is one of the coolest bridges in Pittsburgh. It spans the Ohio here, right at the mouth of the Ohio. And it's what's called a bowspan bridge. There's two different methods of holding that are happening. This upper span is using these suspended cables to hold the bridge up, to hold the ramp up like a suspension bridge would. But at the same time, this arch is actually flexing and is under tension, as if there were vast bands of steel that made their way through the road span of the bridge and pulled the two ends together, keeping this arch up in the air. Well, that's actually true. That's what's happening with this steel span in the middle. It is being pulled apart by the two ends, and so this whole thing is actually stable. It's in engineered stasis, just sitting there. So here we are on the eastern side of the West End Bridge, and I'm just gonna walk us out this little jetty here. I think you guys will soon understand why. We're gonna make this little detour, and also why this will be, I think, where the video ends. Not on this kind of existential walking the plank that this might imply. I'm trying to get as far laterally as we can for the big reveal. And some of downtown is behind all those trees and stuff, but what a view. It's the Fort Pitt Bridge right there. Brand new Iron City beer sign up on the hillside. Absolutely gorgeous. What a city. So here's where we'll really finish up our walking adventure. We've made it all the way down to the Rivers Casino, which is to the left here. This beautiful view of downtown. The Monongahela's coming in over on the right there. The Allegheny's coming in on the left. The Point is right in front of us. Ohio's coming down right here. Iron City.